All right, we're on section 11.7, the coordinate plane. I want you to take a few minutes, go ahead and hit pause and copy down this information, and then we'll discuss it. So go ahead and hit pause and record. All right, what we need to know, first of all, is our coordinates. And our coordinates are made up by X and Y in the order of the alphabet. X meaning the x-axis, all of our lines that are horizontal, and then Y meaning our vertical lines. This is the y-axis. The middle point, which is called the origin, that is 0, 0. That's the value of those. Now what we need to understand also is that there are different quadrants, and we call them quadrants because of the word quad, meaning 4. And this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, and 4. And you can see they're labeled using Roman numerals, and you'll need to make certain you do that as well. And here are the coordinates. They're both going to be positive in quadrant 1. So you always start at the origin and you move to the right if it's positive. You move to the left if it is negative. Okay? So positive, up is also positive, so that's why they are both positives for quadrant 1. Then we reset ourselves at the origin and you go to the left is negative and up is positive. That puts us at quadrant 2. Those are a negative and then a positive. And then for quadrant 3, you would go to the left, that's a negative, and then down is a negative as well, so that gives us negative, negative. And then for the fourth quadrant, you move to the right, which is positive, and then you move down, that is negative, so we get a positive and a negative. We will be identifying what quadrant certain points lie in, so you'll need to make certain you refer back to this. Let's go ahead and look at the next page. And this is an example of how to graph and label a point. This is point K that we're going to plot. And I see that I need to change something on here. Let's redo this. We're going to use, that is my point 5. And that is a K. And you can see how these are labeled, and it is labeling each line as you go through this. So when you do that, and I'm going to have to change this down here. This is my negative 5. This is my negative 4. I'm not sure why it caused that to do it, but we'll make the change here real quick. This is negative 3. This is negative 4. Sorry about that. So when you go for a positive 2, again you start at the origin, and you must move to the right. Okay, you always move along the x-axis first, and that is this line right here. And so if it's positive, we move to the right. If it were negative, we would move to the left. So since it is positive 2, we move to the right 2 places, and then a positive puts you up, and a negative brings you down. And so we would then, since it's a negative 5, you would move down 5 places. And you can see how that goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And it's those intersecting points that we are counting. Okay, so you can refer back to this when we do some of these next ones for practice. So it says graph and label each point. State the quadrant of each point as well. So let's go. I'm going to do number 1 with you first. And so it's a negative 3, positive 4. So we start at the origin. Since it's a negative 3, we're going to move 1, 2, 3 lines, and then since it is a positive 4, you're going to move up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my point is right here. That is point A, and that is how you would do that. Now, what I am asking you to do is to state what quadrant it is in, and this would be quadrant. This is 1, this is 2. So quadrant 2 is what that would be. Okay? So I want you right now to go ahead and you can just copy this down real quick, something real basic or generic on your paper, and plot B, C, D, and E. So go ahead and do that, and then we're going to check our answers. All right, for point B, again, starting at the origin at 0, 0, and it is going to be positive 6, positive 5. So we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to move up 5 because it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is my point B, and that is quadrant 1. Let's try letter C, starting at 0, and it's 0, positive 4. Now 0, again, that's my x coordinate, and can I move left or right on 0? No. It's telling you to move 0 places. So you stay at that, and now you go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is now point C. And some of you might ask, well, what quadrant would that be? Some of you might have said between 1 and between 2. It's actually what we call the y-axis. Okay? So let's try letter D. We start at the origin, and it says -8 that we're going to move. So we're going to move -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is actually out to here. And then 0. So that's my point. Okay? Because I cannot move up or down. It's saying to move 0 times. So that is my point D. And that would be now my x-axis, because that's the axis that it lies on. Now letter E, we're going to try -4. So we're going to move to the left 1, 2, 3, 4 for negatives, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my point E. And that would be my coordinate 3, or quadrant 3. Okay? Questions on that, please write them down and we'll discuss them tomorrow. Now we have the last part. It says find the ordered pair and state the quadrant. Now when I say ordered pair, that also means coordinates. You'll see that used kind of universally, so keep that in mind. So point A. Okay, what we need to make certain we do is we start at the origin, and we always have to make certain that we remember that is x and then y. Okay, so we have to move along the x-axis first. This is my x, this is my y. We have to move left or right first according to positive or negative. Okay, so now we're looking for point A, so we've got to get to that point by moving to the right 1, 2 times. So it's going to be a 2, and then positive 1, 2, 3, because we're moving up. So there's 3. So 2, 3 is my answer, and then that is quadrant 1. Okay? Now, some of you say, well, I went up first and then over. Well, unfortunately, that gives you a different roadmap, because if we were to go up 3 over 2, it flips these numbers around. That is why we have to have them in a particular order, or we'd find ourselves with 2 different possible points, because 3, 2 is actually right here. Okay, so we have to be very, very careful with that. It's kind of like a city map of trying to locate a particular address. This is a unique address to that point. Okay, so let's try point B. Well, we're going to have to start with our x-axis. So we move 1, 2, and that is a negative because we're moving to the left. So -2, comma, and then are we moving up or down? No, we leave it right there. So it is a 0. And that is going to be what quadrant? It'd be quadrant x-axis. Since it is not in a particular quadrant, we just say the x-axis. Do make certain you put your parentheses around this and a comma in between the numbers itself. Go ahead and hit pause and try letter C. All right, now we have letter C. So we're going to start at the origin, and we're going to move to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since we're moving to the right, that is a positive 5. And then we're going to move down 1, 2. And since we're moving down, that would be negative, and that is negative 2. Okay? And then as far as the quadrant goes, it is quadrant 4. Okay? So go ahead and take a look at your answers. If they are a little different, then certainly raise question to that, and we'll discuss it further tomorrow. And have a great evening.